Hey everybody, it's your boy Chris Avalon here. Okay, so before I get to my radio show, which is probably going to be at like what it is like 1:27 as I'm recording this, so I got like 30 minutes to do all this work, but I needed to do this video really quick. It's basically I wanted to do a story on, well, a video on all that's going on with the debacle of RuPaul's Drag Race now that it's over and that it's come to an end. That we probably gonna have to wait till 2019 for the new season, but word on the street is they're trying to get the new season that's filming now, season 11, out in the fall, which I think is way too much. Number one, I am on Drag Race overload. Two back-to-back seasons, I need a break. I love the show, but I just want to discuss the stuff that that I find with the show that's a bit problematic. And one of the things, like, congratulations, or should I say congratulations, to Aquaria. It's the third girl in a row from New York that has snatched the crown and the scepter and Anastasia Beverly Hills lifetime makeup and $100,000, which I don't know how much that's going to end up after all the taxes, but she ain't getting all them $100,000. But anyway, one of the things I want to talk about particularly is this issue that we have with the show that not a lot of people want to talk about, including the show itself, which is the overall racism that exists, the racist underbelly that exists on the show that nobody wants to talk about, including its host. So there was an article that I had read on this morning. That's why I wanted to talk about this now, because if I would have talked about my radio show, it really would have taken away from all the topics that I already had preset and talk about. So I want to do this as a separate video. The title is, and I want to get it right, RuPaul needs to take responsibility for the racism on Drag Race. And the article was written by a guy named Philip Henry. It's on the website them.us. So definitely go over there and read the entire article because it was very informative. I won't say it's eye-opening because a lot of the stuff he was saying, I've been saying for the longest amongst friends of mine and people who I know that have worked with a few of the queens. Not saying that they're saying anything bad about them, but I'm just saying that have worked within this whole Drag Race vernacular and agree, excuse me, that there is an issue that we have, and it's the overall racism thing that we have, and the fact that it was addressed this season, but I felt that Rue made the Vixen out to look like she was crazy and everything. Now, don't get me wrong, there were ways about the Vixen that did bother me, where I felt like her approach to certain things was a bit problematic in regards of how she would always come down and be so nasty and always on attack mode. But I get it, because when you are a person of color and you're dealing with a lot of stuff within our community, these are the issues that a lot of us deal with, is that you're provoked, and then when you react, you're looked at as a crazy one, which is why I felt the way she was treated at the reunion was a bit unfair. See, you're only going by the edits of the way you were portrayed on the show. But then, of course, if you're a person that gives the editors or the, producers, whoever, enough red meat, they're going to run with that narrative. They're going to run with the narrative that, oh, look, we got our villain for the season. We got our new Fifi O'Hara. So, let's put her out there and exploit her. But the thing that I have had issue with is that, yes, I love that Bob, the drag queen, pointed out that we have a lot of white skinny queens who have over 1 million followers, but then someone tried to point out, well, Bianca Del Rio has a bunch of followers. Well, number one, Bianca Del Rio is a stand-up comedian, so she's in a whole different realm of the type of girls that we're looking at, that people vote for in regards of the white queens that we're talking about, that, like the Katias and the Alaskas and the Sasha Velours and the Pearls and the Violet Chachkis, who they try to compare Aquaria to, and I'm like, two different people, two different artists. Yeah, the only thing I would say they have in common is their aesthetic. Like, a lot of them, they're big fashion queens, but overall, they're two different type of girls. And Aquaria brought something that I didn't see from Violet, which was Aquaria brought not only her keen sense of fashion and just that avant-gardeness, but she also brought, to me, I thought she brought more of a personality to it. Like, you can relate to her on a lot of levels. She was someone who was willing to evolve, and she seemed like she was very wise and beyond her years, even though she's relatively young. She's like, I believe, 21. But anyway, one of the things that was what I was trying to get to, is like Bob, the drag queen, was the one that pointed that out. And then that's when someone tried to say about the whole thing with Bianca Del Rio. Bianca Del Rio is in a whole different category. Like, people like her in this. She's like almost in the same realm as a RuPaul, because to me, I've known that Bianca has been big and famous in her own right before she went on RuPaul's Drag Race. RuPaul's Drag Race gave her a bigger platform, but she's always had like this big, like many people were aware of her. And she's really good friends with Lady Bunny, who last time I checked was also a friend of Ru's, unless something there y'all ain't saying. But overall, what I was thinking is that now, so is it the responsibility of the host to speak on an issue that is plaguing the show, which is racism, or the fact that a lot of the black queens are treated differently than the white queens? That you'll see a white queen that'll do the same thing that a black queen will do, and the white queen will get praise, and the black queen will get sneers and will consider problematic. Case in point, even though she's not white, but she's light, so we're gonna go with that. Remember the season of what, it was All Stars 2, when Adore quit the show after the second episode. She walked off the show. Everybody was talking about, well, she got a couple of, jeers. Oh, why would you waste all that time? Why would you go on a show just to leave, to send the other? But then for overall, she got a lot of sympathy and she got a lot of love and respect for her decision. Now, the Vixen storms off of the reunion of Drag Race after she's being attacked up, down, and sideways from everybody, including RuPaul, where you didn't really go in on Eureka with the scene where I'm sure y'all remember, where Eureka poked the bear, wanted to see if she can get a rise out of the Vixen, and then when she got that rise, she gagged. And that's what I don't understand with people, is that, why is it that you provoke someone, you poke the bear enough, and you think that we're just supposed to lie down and take it? I think in this day, it kind of reminds me of this whole situation. I don't want to get too political, but it reminds me of the whole situation with the Trump party, where we have the Donald Trumps of the world, or the Trump supporters, and these idiots in the White House and on Fox News, who will sit and say all kinds of crazy shit, who will sit and incite. We had Milo Yiannopoulos going around and kill journalists. And then a bunch of people get killed at a news station, or it was like a magazine or newspaper, something of that in the realm of news. So when you promote and incite that type of violence, why isn't nobody going after him? But everybody, Maxine Waters says go and harass, or go and speak up and confront these people who are taking away our rights. And then she gets the bulk of it. So to me, it just seems double-sided, and it seems racist when you look at it. That, because black people are looked at, or people of color perceived as angry, when it's actually you're passionate, and you're so passionate that this is the only outlet you feel that you have to get your point across. So I do feel that as a black man, as in RuPaul, who has built this crazy empire over the past 30 years from drag culture, from bringing drag into the mainstream. When I was a kid, that was like RuPaul was the only person that I was aware of, and drag queens and being gay and stuff like that. And it was like when I'm first learning about being gay, and so this is how this is, and people like him, and I know he had his little issue, but in the 90s it was just edgier and different, and this, that, and the other. So like coming into your own and coming to your terms with your sexuality, and you're seeing this big black statuesque beautiful man on screen, and he's pushing through the mainstream with so much of his charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent, that he's built this thing with RuPaul's Drag Race. And my thing is this: if you don't want to speak on it because you don't want to rock the boat, you don't want to rock the VH1 boat that you've benefited so much from it with the drag cons and this, that, and the other, then I understand that. But own it. That's what I want to say. Just own that you don't want to speak up because, this is your bread and butter. You don't want to rock the boat because you don't want to scare off the white people, those investors, the people that are putting so much money into this show, the powers that be at VH1. You don't want to mess up the opportunity you have with Netflix and that sort of thing. You don't want to mess up the show you have with Netflix, where you're supposed to be playing a drag performer traveling with a little kid, and y'all do shows, and instead of you don't want to mess up the opportunity you have with what was the other one? Oh, she has a show with J.J. Abrams that's coming out. So you don't want to mess up all your opportunities. I get that, but own it. Like I said, I love the show, but I feel like there needs to be a point where it's like, you know what? speak up. You have to speak up. I mean, you said your opinion about you didn't want trans people on your show because this is the type of drag queen show that you wanted, and you got roasted, and then you backed off. But at least you own what you said then. I don't understand why you can't say this now. And speaking of which, this is another thing I don't understand, is that you're banning people from DragCon, but you've allowed Jeffree Star to have like a huge, set up there, and he said the word nigga numerous times, unapologetically. So for you to allow this racist to show his makeup and all that other shit there, but you're roasting the vixen harder than you roasted any other girls on the show, especially when I know you was watching the same show we was watching, like I said earlier, where Eureka basically provoked her, and now, Vixen has her feeling what she said. So I do agree, like, you know what, I applaud Asia for being the one that spoke up for her at that time. But then Asia had to back off because then, like, well, you don't want Mama Ru to not prevent you from becoming the winner of the show. So I don't believe that RuPaul is racist. I don't believe that RuPaul supports racism. I do feel that Ru may feel he's between a rock and a hard place because, drag is supposed to be drag is political. Drag is supposed to be about speaking out against the status quo, about, it's supposed to be punk rock, where you're doing something that is unconventional and you're pushing something unconventional into the conventional. And I guess we could say normalizing it, but at what risk do we get the normalization of something that should be considered punk rock and pushing forward? There are political queens out there. I know quite a few, especially in New York. But I have to say, like, even though I had my issues with the Vixen in regards of like what she did in regards of like provoking that situation between like getting in the middle of Cracker and Aquarius situation and then working it out, all other stuff, but getting in between that and instigating a little something between them, even though you had that and there were little things going on throughout the show, I do stand with you in regards of your opinions on racism. I do stand with your opinions on the double standard of how the queens are treated, and how I remember hearing, I think it was Asia that said it, that some promoter, and I think it starts with them too, like a lot of the promoters and stuff were like, well, the only reason why you're here is because people like Sasha Velour, Miss Cracker, and Alyssa Edwards are too expensive. So you're basically just like, you'll just do because we can afford you. And to me, that's just insulting. I want to make sure that I got all my notes before I have to sign off for this and get ready for my show, because I literally have 20 minutes to do all of this. But I just hope that RuPaul's not doing this because he feels like his voice is not going to change the narrative. I really feel like it will if you speak out. If you decide to do like maybe a 1-hour Facebook Live event, or maybe a special on YouTube, or whatever the case is, just get a couple of queens, you moderate, and y'all have this breakdown conversation on the issues with the show and how can we make it better. But I guess when that's the narrative and the fans are just, what they are, and the show has become this worldwide phenomenon just about, maybe you feel that you don't need to speak out because it's, it's entertaining. It's getting a conversation going between us. But, I don't know. I just feel that... And another thing, too. The attitude of, oh, she's not worth fighting for. I don't agree with that, because I just feel like that's just the whole thing where regards of, oh, like you're just abandoning someone because, oh, she just got pissed off and walked out, which is, in my opinion, disrespectful. I remember when I was her age and I was pretty young, I thought that was the issue. It was like, I didn't want to, I don't want to continue this argument, so let me remove myself from this situation before something pops off and I do something that I regret later. So that's, in my mind, why she was doing what she was doing. You know what? I'm going to have the last word. I'm going to walk away, and I'm going to decompress, and I'm going to do whatever. Ru should have went after him. I should have went after Vixen and been like, and had that moment. You should have did an Andy Cohen, what he did when Kim Zolciak had her little temper tantrum and went in the bathroom and did what she did. Get the camera. You as a host and a moderator, go follow the heifer and have y'all little powwow, talk it out, whatever. It takes y'all 7-8 hours to shoot a damn reunion for a 47-minute thing. You could have, or not even, because y'all was an hour and a half. You could have put that up in there. Like, it would have been more juicier than that reunion. The reunion had its moments of good parts, but overall I found it boring. This show was like, and also, there's a bunch of stuff I have issues with the show. Like, y'all need to do better competitions. I mean, competitions throughout the show, because there was some of them, the mini challenges and the main challenges were so stupid. So y'all need to kind of bring it back to the basics of being creative and coming up with better ideas. But that's a whole nother topic. I just want to be like, there is overall racism that exists in the LGBTQ community. For people to try to act like that there's no racism in our community, it's bullshit. Especially when this morning also I came across an article from Gay Star News that basically stated, and I want to get it correct, 2/3 of Black LGBT people face racism within the community. Which I'm like, next thing you're gonna tell us water's wet. Like, of course we know this. I personally have not experienced racism in that way. I do think, like, because I'm exotic looking or whatever, and that's something you could literally pick up and be like, well, what are you? I do get those. And it kind of, I get where they mean by it, but I guess if that's what they mean by, like, I don't think that's racism. But I have seen my friends experience racism. I have witnessed it. I have seen people, like, what they say online and all that other stuff. And I feel like being on social media shines a light on who you are as a person and what your beliefs are and that sort of thing. So overall, I feel like, you know what, Rue? I don't know if you're ever going to talk about it or whatever, but I feel like the only way we can continue to engage in this conversation is if people out there, such as myself, or people who watch this video, or people who are on any kind of social media, have their own videos as well, speak out on it. Let your voices be heard. And let them know. I mean, I don't think, boycotting the show is going to solve the problem, because it's not. Like, RuPaul's Drag Race is a hodgepodge of people that watch. We got women, we got white people, we got black people, we got gays, we got lesbians, we got a bunch of we got kids, we got parents and families. So it's a bunch of people that sit and watch a lot of these videos. And, just speak out on it. And you know what? I don't want to take away from what Rue has done, because he's an icon. He's a gay icon. He has provided so many opportunities for so many people. But if we're going to continue with more seasons of Drag Race, which you're currently filming season 11, and I'm sure we're going to be getting an All Stars 4 and all these other episodes down the road. I don't know how many. I think they did say they greenlit 2 more seasons. I don't know how long the show's going to go on. But as long as the show continues and it continues to expand, you're going to have to address a lot of the issues that goes on with the show and figure out how can we make it better. And I feel like, you know what, if I had my own show, I'd have done it. I would have gone online and did my own video and spoken out about it. And I feel like these are things that we should talk about. And if you feel like you can't talk about because your money, your career, and everything is going to be at stake, then it's like, to me, I feel like, you know what, if you can't stand for something, to me, I always say, if you can't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. I had to get off because I got literally 15 minutes to set up for my next, for the Chris Avalon show. And so follow me on Instagram off the top of my head, at Chris Avalon Blog. Look me up on Facebook, add me there, at Chris Avalon NYC on Twitter. And thank you all for watching. Leave comments, like, subscribe, do all those things. I like the back and forth conversation between people that's respectable and don't have to be name calling and being nasty and stuff. We have to be better than a lot of the trolls on social media who say the things that they say about people that, in my opinion, they do not know. And shout out to all the queens who have performed on and competed on the show over the years. A lot of them are people I happen to know. Love you all. I was happy to see 5 girls from the show from New York make it on. And so, continued success to those who have competed on the show. Continued success to those who are trying to make it on the show. And I hope that, down the road, Rue does speak out about this. Love you all for watching. Talk to you soon.